Welcome to the RV Park Mastery Podcast, where you will learn the correct way to identify, evaluate, negotiate, perform due diligence on, renegotiate, finance, turn around, and operate RV parks. And now, here is your host, the fifth largest owner of RV and mobile home parks in the U.S., Frank Rolfe.
In 2007, a guy brought out a book called The 4-Hour Work Week, and suddenly all Americans became obsessed with trying to get by using any method other than their own sweat and labor. This is Frank Rolfe, the RV Park Mastery Podcast. The issue you have when you adopt the methods of delegation, virtual assistants, and the like is at certain points you can't trust your decisions because you don't trust your information. It makes complete sense. If we don't really believe the facts that we make decisions from, then we're not going to be comfortable in making those decisions. So it then begs the question, and in RV park buying, what can you delegate versus what can't you delegate? What can you delegate and still make good decisions? And what things do you have to do yourself to make good decisions? Well, let's start off with when you're looking at buying an RV park, you could definitely delegate to somebody, a virtual assistant, to try and build you the direct mail list. How do you do that? Well, all you do is take the area of America you're interested in, pull up all the RV parks that exist in that area off Google, get the address to all those parks, and then go to the tax assessor's database, which will tell you the owner and address of each of them. It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple. So as far as building that raw list, there's no reason a virtual assistant or any type of assistant could not help you in building your direct mail list of RV parks to hit. And the same with the cold calling list. All you do is take the direct mail list, which has the name of the owner and the address. And then there are other websites you can go to, like switchboard.com, where you can put in that person's name and address and up pops their phone number. So once again, it's not hard to delegate building the cold call list. And you'll be comfortable with your decision because if you contact them and they don't own it, they'll tell you so. So those are both things that can be very easily delegated. Next, getting a loan. In the world of loan brokers, which are pretty prevalent in the RV park industry today, you don't have to be the one that goes around to find the banks. You don't have to be the one to negotiate the terms. You can have people do that for a fee. The fee is typically 1% of the amount of the loan. Now, whether you're trying to get an SBA loan, traditional bank loan, conduit loan, it doesn't matter. There are those out there who will get the loan for you. And to be honest with you, they often do a far better job than you would. So this is one case where delegation is going to be better than you doing it yourself. Now, they still provide you the information and you make the decision on which bank to go with. They're not going to turnkey, put it all together, sign the papers for you. No, but they will come back to you and say, okay, well, here are the options. Lender 1, lender 2, lender 3. Here's how much they'll loan. Here's the interest rate. All the information you need to know to make a good decision. So you can, again, completely delegate often getting the loan for the RV park. Also, you can definitely delegate on-site management. Now, it'll still need your supervision, which we'll come to in a minute. But there's no reason that you have to be the on-site manager of your RV park unless you want to. Now, many people who buy RV parks like the idea of self-managing it. And in fact, many of the best RV parks in America, including the largest RV park in the United States down in Myrtle Beach, they all self-manage. But most RV parks, not all, but most RV parks, have some form of delegated on-site management. And there's no reason you can't do that and succeed at that. The business model is not that complicated. There are all kinds of online tools today that allow you to keep control, almost as though you're in the property at all times. So once again, now you can delegate that on-site manager and you can still make good decisions because you can see everything through texted photos or videos or HD videos. Any number of resources will allow you to manage that on-site manager and still feel completely fine in decision-making. And then there's accounting and tax preparation. Most people delegate that. I don't have any accounting ability at all. So for my very first property, what's the first thing I did? I found an accountant who could do all of the books for me, track everything, write all the bills. Accounting and tax preparation, the folks that work in that arena are pretty no-nonsense. And I've never really seen a bad one. I'm sure they are out there. But all the accountants I've ever worked with in my entire business career have all been on the ball, and I've never had any issues. So there's, again, something you can definitely delegate and still make good decisions. But what can you not delegate that some people ponder that they can, but you really shouldn't because it will screw you up when it comes to making smart decisions? Well, the first one is talking to sellers. Now, you can delegate someone to build your direct mail list and your cold call list. Yes, that's not a problem. But you kind of have to make the calls, or you have to respond to anyone who calls in off that direct mail piece. Additionally, you have to be the one that talks to all the RV park brokers, and you're definitely the one that needs to talk to the sellers. Why is that? Because that is such a refined art that you cannot rely on others that you would delegate that to do nearly as good a job as you would. And in many cases, you had a perfect seller who would be willing to sell at the price you'd want to pay, but you blew the whole deal because rather than you taking the time to talk to them, you delegated to somebody else who wasn't as good as you. I always say in the RV park industry, there's arts and sciences. Now, the sciences are more easily delegatable, but the arts are not. If you are a skilled people person who can talk to people, get the job done, get deals struck, you will be far superior to someone that you delegate to, some kind of assistant who probably does not have those kinds of skills. Next, the due diligence. Now, this one confuses people. They say, well, gosh, there are people out there I can hire to do due diligence. Okay, that is true. But are you really going to trust their input to make your final decision? That's the tough part. Most people who are buying in the RV park, they kind of need to know the lay of the land. They can't just send someone else out there to do it and then feel smart about making the decision themselves because they won't have any confidence in it. So if you want to delegate some of the diligence, you can do that. If you lay out the pieces and say, okay, we need to get these 30 items in diligence, yes, there are some out there that you can delegate to other people to do. But you still have to watch over the herd, and there's some more delicate issues that you should definitely doing the diligence on yourself. Also, making the decision to buy, the actual big decision, pulling the trigger, signing it up, writing the check. You can't delegate that. That final decision is going to be the sum of all of the bits of information that you've seen on that deal since the onset. And there's no way you will feel good about signing that paper, going to the title company, writing them a big check, unless you have enough input to make that good decision. It's just a fact of life. On the big decisions in life, you can't delegate them. You can't delegate your choice of a career. You can't really delegate your choice of a spouse, and you shouldn't delegate your choice of the RV park. Next, negotiating seller financing or small town bank financing or anything where you and not a broker is involved in trying to obtain the loan. You really cannot delegate that. Banks loan on one of two items, character or collateral, and then to some degree both. Character revolves around you. You're the borrower. They can't judge having some other third person in there, some assistant, whether they have the correct character they want to entrust the bank's money to or not. So as a result, you really have to be the active player. You have to be the one that talks to the seller, who talks to the bank. Why? Because you're the borrower, and they want to get to know you. They want to bond with you. They want to know what you are all about. So as a result, it's impossible to succeed in getting a seller note drafted and done or a bank note drafted and done unless you are the active party negotiating it, because they want to see you. You're the face of that deal, and they want to know who you are. And then just generally being responsible for the business. Now, there are management companies you can hire out there, but they'll never do as good a job as you can. Most of them will be honest enough to tell you that on the front end. So if you want to make great decisions on running the business, you have to be a more active participant in what's going on. Now, I don't mean you have to be out there every day. I'm not saying you have to be out there to answer questions with residents, sell them a bag of potato chips and that kind of a thing. But there's only one person who will be truly number one in their mind at all times and how the business is flowing, and that is you. You at all times have to be the captain of the ship. You have to be at the helm. You have to make all the decisions because it's your investment, your property. You have the skin in the game. Your assistant does not. So you can't make good decisions unless you have your hand on at least all of the different controls and an eye on all the different controls kind of in the background at all times. Now, if you use technology correctly, if you manage the systems, you can operate the RV park on a very, very small amount of time in the background. Most people spend no more than 4 hours a week. That's not much time. You probably spend more than 4 hours a week right now watching NFL games. In that same amount of time, you could own an RV park and do a good job with it and make good decisions. But the bottom line is there are some things you can delegate and some things you can't delegate. And you'll never be able to make good decisions unless you trust your information. This is Frank Rolfe with the RV Park Mastery Podcast. Hope you enjoyed this. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you for listening to the RV Park Mastery Podcast. Be sure to visit us at www.rvparkmastery.com. where you can learn the correct way to identify, evaluate, negotiate, perform due diligence on, renegotiate, finance, turnaround, and operate in RV parks.